College football is my favorite sport to watch, and with the national championship a week away, I thought it'd be a great time to launch the 5-part series I filmed this fall at college campuses across the country. Introducing Wolfgang Game Day, the concept: find the best football matchups of the year, travel to those college towns for the weekend, and bring you guys along to experience what it's like to get invited to frat houses, underground poker games, parties, and more. If you peaked in college like me, this series is for you.
Come on, how many? Hey, didn't bro hit me in the face and I get arrested?
It's Friday evening and we're in Norman at the University of Oklahoma for the matchup against Tennessee. I posted a story on my Instagram a few days ago to see if there were any home games. Within an hour, I had over 20 good leads, but one stuck out to me more than the others. See, I went to college at Pepperdine University out in Malibu, California.
Oh my God, bro. Oh, hell no.
In between eating acai bowls and surfing, I joined a fraternity called Sigma Chi. So when I saw a DM pop up from a kid named John, who was a SIG at Oklahoma, I knew I'd respond to him first. I arrived at their chapter house and got a quick tour of the place. It was cool to be in an SEC fraternity house and to see all the regalia up on the walls. But now it's time for poker. They're playing the biggest game they've ever hosted at the house. It's a 1-2 game. I'm in for $200. And being the good guest that I am, I want to show them I didn't just come to rinse them out of their lunch money. I decided to go all in blind. My very first hand, I shove in $200 and we end up getting one customer. That's Cade. He puts in the call for $71. We both turn over one card. He turns over the ace. I turn over the jack. The board runs out, giving me a pair, at least that I can see of. I don't look at my second cards and he turns over a deuce.
Wow. You have a deuce?
Three of a kind for Cade, and I turn over a 9. So I ended up making 2 pair, but Cade's gonna accept my gift and take this down with 3 of a kind. Alright, let's play some normal poker now. There's a raise of $20 and I put in the call. John calls as well. We're going 3 ways to the flop here, which comes ace, 9, 6 with 2 hearts. Having top pair is pretty great, and John bets out for $25. Cade folds, and with top pair I put in the call, and the turn now comes the 3 of spades. John bets out once again, this time for $35 and nothing for me to do other than call. When the river card now comes the king of hearts, a little bit of speech play happening at the table.
This is what I think's going on here. I think you have like ace queen or ace jack, and you're thinking about trying to milk me for whatever. I have $50 left.
After I check it over to John, he jams for $100, putting me in a really gross spot. The front door flush comes in, so ultimately I decide to show my ace and then fold, giving him respect for betting all 3 streets, but no respect from John. He tables 7 deuce and the crowd goes wild. The 7 deuce game wasn't even on, so no extra bounty from him. He just wanted to invite me to this game in order to bluff me the very first hand he plays. So a crazy spot there, but happy it's over with.
The Sigma guys. Fucking needs a change of pants.
Alright, I'm in the big blind. There's a raise to 8, a 3-bet to 20. John puts in the call. I decide to jam for $62. That's all I have left from my original $200 buy-in. The player in the +2 calls and John calls as well, so a potential triple up here, and the flop comes ace, king, 7 rainbow. On the flop, John bets 35 and the +2 calls.
You're cooked. He's cooked. He's cooked. He's cooked.
The turn gives me a nut flush draw with the queen of clubs, so we definitely love that in case we're losing to a hand like king queen or ace king or ace queen, something like that. The turn goes check check and the river does not come a club, it's the 8 of diamonds. Now the +2 decides to lead out and jam for $32 and John calls. Not exactly the best news in the world, but when we see pocket 9s from the +2, we can definitely beat that, but we can't beat John's ace 10 offsuit, so he has our number tonight, 1 pip higher and $329 going his way.
This is how we give back. This is how we give back. YouTube gives me ad revenue and then I give it back to the fraternity guys that are just gonna spend it on drinks right after.
Alright, we move to a better seat here to get a wide angle shot of the rest of the table. You can see that quite the crowd has decided to form around the table. This is the fraternity house after all, so people coming down from their rooms and watching TV in the other room, they decide this is way more interesting, and ace king offsuit is definitely an interesting hand. I'm gonna make it $15 to go. We end up getting 2 callers, so we're going 3 ways to the flop here, which comes 10, 10, 7 rainbow. The action checks over to me, and I decide to stab here for $15. We lose 1 customer, but then get check raised to $40 from the player to our right named Barrett. Having ace high here, specifically the ace of diamonds, is pretty good, so I put in the call. I also want to give them action in their own house, but the deuce of diamonds is a pretty great card for Barrett to now check it over to me on. I decided to check behind here. He's giving me a free card. I want an ace, king, or diamond, but that doesn't come. Instead, it's the jack of hearts, and I just don't think he's gonna raise the flop and have a hand I can get to fold, so I decide to check behind here with my ace high, and sure enough, he turns over queen 10 offsuit. So 3 of a kind is good enough for Barrett to be rewarded with $128. All right, there's a limp to 2, a raise to 15, and I make it $121 to go. I jam it all in with king, queen of diamonds. After the limper folds, Chase looks like he's in a tough spot here for $121, so I decide to give him the option to choose one of my cards as a friendly game, and he turns over the king of diamonds. After seeing that card, he decides to call, and we are dominating jack 10 of clubs here, so a pretty great spot to get a double up. There's 245 in the middle, and he flops himself a flush draw. The turn is no good for him, but of course, because he's dealing, he gets the flush on the river, the 5 of clubs, and the crowd goes wild once again. After that last hand, we rebuy for an additional $300, so I topped up $200 in a few hands prior, so I'm in for $700 at this point. Only $300 in front of me, and I decide to call $7 after there's a raise to my right. We are going 3 ways to the flop when another kid puts in the call, and the flop comes 5-5-3 with 2 spades. There's a bet to $15, and the player to my right calls, so I call as well. The turn is pretty great for us, though. The ace of diamonds now gives me 2 pair. The action checks around, bringing in the ace of clubs on the river, and I decide to splash for $55. Cinco de Mayo, it's a fiesta. $124 now in the middle. The first kid folds, and the action's over to Barrett on my right, and some pretty interesting table talk develops.
Okay, I'll show you one too.
We're playing war. Now who has the higher next card?
After thinking about it for a little while, he makes a very good disciplined fold, folding the 6 of diamonds. That's going to be no good, sir. All right, when I look down at king 10 offsuit, it's good enough for $15, and we are going to get called in 2 spots. The flop comes ace, king, queen with 2 hearts. I have the king of hearts, so second pair, backdoor straight draw, backdoor flush draw. Action checks around on the flop, giving me the straight on the turn. It comes right away, the jack of spades. I decide to lead out now into the $46 pot for 4 red chips. Seth puts in the call, but Cade folds. Off to the river we go, which comes a 6 of spades with 86 in the middle. I decide to bet out for $34. Will Seth pay us off here, or will he fold? Yes, he pays us off. Finally, we're getting a little bit more value. I table the king 10 off, and $155 being pushed over my way. I still don't have $700 in front of me, so I'm stuck a bunch of money, but it feels good to get a little bit back here. I'm gambling at the table, and that's no different here. A blind $50 here. We're not going to look at our cards unless it's absolutely necessary. Trevor looks at his cards and decides it's good enough for $44, which is exactly what he has in front of him. He's all in, and I turn over a king. He turns over the ace. I still don't know what my second card is. He knows his, obviously, and the flop comes king 7-6. Nice work, Chase, finally dealing me a good hand. The turn comes the 5 of clubs, giving him an open-ended straight draw. He'll need an ace, a 9, or a 4 to beat me, at least my king of spades, which is what he can see. The river card is a deuce, so no matter what, we're winning. But it turns out I actually had 2 pair when I turn over the 5 of diamonds as well. So a little bit of overkill there, and Trevor is going to get scooped in a $91 pot. All right, there's a raise to 12, a call to my right. I decide to call with ace 5 offsuit and flop myself bottom pair on a king jack 5 2 club board. John bets out for 15. We lose the player to our right. I put in the call, and the turn now comes the 4 of clubs. I check it over to him once again. He bets out small for $30. And given the fact I'm just trying to have fun here and put people in tough spots, I decide to check raise now to $105. And look at the reaction out of Cade in seat 9.
105.
Yeah, I know you guys are used to seeing big stakes on the vlog, but keep in mind this is a college game and they're playing the biggest game ever because I'm in town. So still, this $105 raise is pretty massive for these stakes. It's only 1-2 and a lot of players are sitting with less than $100. So when it goes back over to John, he does indeed give me credit for a good hand. He folds and it looks like I got one back from that 7-deuce hand earlier on in the session. His face indicates that we got a bluff through there. He could have beaten my pair of fives, but $200 is my reward for putting more money in the middle. All right, this next hand went viral in short form content, both on Instagram Reels and YouTube Shorts, because I spill my beer on the table. What a rookie move, but it turns out that all you have to do to get millions of views is spill a beer on the table and the comments will go nuts. Maybe I was too excited because I looked down at the ladies' pocket queens here from the small blind, 550 in my stack, and I'm feeling pretty good about this hand. There's a bunch of limps over to me, so of course I gotta punish the limpers. I make it $20 to go and then of course clean up my mess. We're gonna pick up 3 customers here, not 1, not 2, not 3, but Chase is in there and he's dealing, and we know how that turned out for us the last time we played Chase, so hopefully he doesn't catch up on this board. But it's gonna be pretty hard to catch up when I flop middle set on an ace queen 9 board. Bang, we flop a set of queens. With 84 in the middle, I decided to go small here for 20 bucks. It's unlikely that anyone has much of this board. Hopefully someone has an ace. We can get a little bit of value. And the one person who we didn't want to come along, Chase, puts in the money and he's gonna play heads up with us off to the turn. Hopefully he doesn't run as good in this hand as he did in that previous one, but the turn connects the board a little bit further on the king of spades. Hopefully he doesn't have jack 10. I Cinco de Mayo it for $55, and after a little bit of thinking, he puts in the call. With 234 in the middle, the river is a complete brick, so of course I'm gonna get value with my set of queens. It's unlikely he has aces, kings. Jack 10 would make some sense, so when I fire out for $101 and he snap raises me to 250. Alarm bells are going off in my head, but I'm not gonna nit roll him here. I don't wanna think about it too much, so of course I put in the call. But after thinking about it further, this is just never a bluff. John's a sicko over there in seat 7. Remember earlier on, he pulled that bluff with 7 deuce. But this is a big game here, and I don't really think anyone else is incentivized to pull a massive bluff on us. So sure enough, when I call, he turns over the nuts, jack 10 offsuit, $734 going over his way. And even though I'm losing the pot, I later find out that this was the largest pot of Chase's life, so congrats Chase if you're watching this. All right, Chase makes it $15 to go. I decide to call with king 9 offsuit. Going heads up to the flop, we know how that goes when we're playing against the dealer Chase. The flop comes queen, jack, 8, rainbow. We have a gut shot to the straight. He checks over to me and I decide to go for a 1/3 pot size bet. I don't know why I'm talking GTO and percentages of pots, but it's muscle memory for me. 1/3 is the preferred bet size. That's what I decide to do. And the turn comes a 10 of spades. Bang, we turn a straight. Chase does not check it over to me this time though. Instead, he leads out for $50. Let's think about it real quick. He raised pre, called my bet on the flop, and then leads out on the turn. Ace king is definitely in his range. He also could just have some random 2 pairs and sets, so I think calling here is pretty fine when I make a straight. Of course, I'm not going to be folding. The river card now pairs the board, bringing in the queen of diamonds. I don't love this because hands like queen jack or queen 10 now have me beat, but when he slows down and checks, that's a green light for me to go all in for $180. I have a straight. I don't think he's ever checking a boat. And sure enough, when he side calls, he turns over ace king. I cannot beat Chase. Look at his face. He can't believe he's taking me down in another pot. $513 going over his way. I give him all my chips. I gave him all my bank stickers. He gives it back to me. What a good dude. He was dealing the entire night, so if I'm gonna lose to anyone here, it'd probably be John or Chase. John for inviting me, Jace for putting in the work on the table. Dealing the entire night is not very fun. I can say that from experience, but when you're winning all the big pots, it kind of makes up for it. After cashing out at Sigma Chi, I get a DM from Tommy and Ben that Waka Flocka, none other than Waka Flocka Flame, is performing at their house, so of course we had to pull up. The night's not over, it's 4 a.m. and I found another poker game at some random person's house. If you come up to me while I'm drinking at one of these college games, I'm pretty much always gonna come back with you to your house to play some poker. Saturday rolls around and we need a shirt for the game, so I head over to Rally House with CJ and Gage and we decide to croc for them. What does that mean? Basically it's a way to gamble where there's 10 teeth and one of them is bad. Click the bad tooth and the croc's mouth closes and you have to pay. My shirt was $200, the most expensive one by far, so to make it fair I said that I only have to lose once and both CJ and Gage would have to lose twice to pay. Let's just say it wasn't CJ's day.
He's calling his banker. Sell the stocks. We have no money.
Hey, I'm gonna
credit card transaction.
I need you to approve it.
With our new free Tommy Bahama OU shirt, we make it to the game. The student section is always the most lit, so that's where I prefer to be. Gage and CJ joined me as well, but unfortunately, OU lost 25-15, so that means no field rushing, but the good thing about being at an SEC school is that no matter if they win or lose, the bars are always packed. No poker tonight, but we're at the bars until they shut down. It was a struggle getting up on Sunday, but we had plans to play at the DTD house. One of their pledges, Jonah, hit me up on Instagram and the game sounded fun, especially because the Deld house was recently renovated and I wanted to get some footage of it for the vlog. The guys are ready to play some cards. It's a 1-2 game once again here, in for $200. With the raise to 6 in front of me, I decide to call with King 10 of hearts. It's a call to $6 and Biggs now makes it $30 to go. The player to my right puts in the call, I call, and the other player does as well. We're going 4 ways to the flop, which comes 7, 5, 4, bang, we flop a flush. Action's on me and I bet out for $15 and only Andrew puts in the call. The turn comes the 5 of spades pairing the board and Andrew checks over to me. I decided to get a little bit tricky here and check it behind. The river card now comes the 6 of diamonds, connecting the board even further. He leads out for $30 and I think I can get value versus some 3 of a kind, 2 pairs, and straights. So I make it $60 to go, a sizing that I think he can never fold to.
Why did I get into this? Yeah, you should have checked that.
But of course, he finds the fold. It was a good one at that, because my king high flush was surely taking this pot down. All right, there's a few limpers over to me. I don't look at my cards and raise it up to $10 blind. Chris is gonna take advantage of me here and raise it up to $30. I'm not gonna look at my cards just yet. We're gonna go heads up to a flop blind. I put in the additional 20 bucks. The flop comes 9, 6, 4. The action goes check, check. I decide to look at my cards now and I have king jack offsuit, so actually a pretty good hand, and I probably would have played it the exact same way had I looked at it pre-flop. Raise it to 10, call a 3-bet, and the turn now comes the 3 of diamonds. I check it over to him once again, and Chris checks behind, bringing in the 3 of spades. In case he has a hand like pocket 5s, pocket deuces, pocket 7s, I decide to turn my king into a bluff. We can also get ace high to fold, $55, Cinco de Mayo. It never lets me down, except for this hand, because Chris puts in the call with ace queen offsuit, exactly the hand I wanted to fold. He makes an amazing call here, and it turns out if you play this hand blind up until the turn, well, Chris is a ringer. He's gonna make the call here and take $176 to the bank. All right, I'm getting outplayed here at DTD. I look down at ace queen of diamonds and make it $10 to go. Biggs in the hijack 3-bets me to $25, and I decide not to 4-bet him, just put in the call, and the flop comes ace 9, 6 rainbow. I check it over to Biggs and he decides to check behind, giving me 2 pair on the queen of clubs. I bet out for $20 and he's going nowhere and puts in the call. The river now comes the queen of hearts. A little bit of overkill here and I Cinco de Mayo it for $55. Big says he has to call, of course, and I turn over my nuts. He ends up saying he had ace jack offsuit. Apologize for that one, Biggs. Occasionally, a blind squirrel will find a nut. There you go. All right, I move seats. This is much better for the vlog. I make it $10 to go with queen jack of hearts. Jonah puts in the call and he's dealing, so we're gonna have to fade some of that dealer luck, but the flop comes ace 5, 4 with 2 hearts, and I bet out for $10. Jonah puts in the call once again, and the turn now comes the 3 of diamonds. I decide to slow down and check, and Jonah does not let it check through. He bets out for 1 red chip. Of course, I'm going nowhere. I put in the call, and the river card is a brick. It's the 7 of clubs. I need to bet out here for around the size of the pot to try to get him to fold a pair or king high or queen high. You guys saw earlier that Chris in that blue New York Giants jersey to my right put in an amazing call with just ace high, so I need to go large here to try to get Jonah to fold, but unfortunately we run into it here. He has a pair of aces. Of course he has to call and gets rewarded with a Cinco de Mayo on the river.
This is
double bag. kids, look out.
Alright, I'm on the button. There's a raise to 10 and a call. I decide to jam it all in for $91 with Queen 10 offsuit. Jonah puts in the call. Conley calls. We're going 3 ways to the flop here. A potential triple up, and we are going to run it out to the river. Flop comes 7-7-5. The turn comes a 9 of hearts, and the river is the ace of clubs. I'm left with just queen high. Conley has pocket 10s, and Jonah had a king jack of spades. Conley gonna take that one down.
What kind of angle is this?
After getting stacked, I rebuy for $300, so at this point, I'm in for $500. I look down at ace 10 offsuit and raise it up to $20, and the action folds around to Gage, my buddy in the $4 straddle. He has to see a card, and we're playing a friendly game here, so of course, I let him choose one, and he turns over the 10 of clubs, and then jams on me for $201. I think he's trying to make a statement. He's been waiting to sit down at this table. He finally gets a seat, and he wants to show that he's action, so I have ace 10. I think that's going to be good enough to put in the call, and even if we're behind a pair like pocket 9s or pocket 8s, well, we're in a flip situation. Sure enough, he turns over ace 7 offsuit, so we have him absolutely smoked until the flop comes ace 7-5 with 2 diamonds. The turn comes a 5 of hearts, the river 6 of diamonds, so ace 7 outflops ace 10 and holds for $400. If I'm going to be losing in these college games, I'd hope it go to the college kids, not my buddy who I drove up from Dallas to Norman, Oklahoma with, but that's just the way the cookie crumbles. He sits down and immediately doubles up. I rebuy for an additional $300, my third bullet of the day, and I look down at queen 9 of clubs. I make it $15 to go on the button, and the small blind and the big blind both put in the call. One of the limpers puts in the call as well, and the flop gives us top pair on a 9-8-4 rainbow board. Bigs bets out for $30, and of course I'm going nowhere. Top pair, backdoor flush draw. I put in the call, and the turn comes the 9 of diamonds. Bang! I'm starting to feel bad for Biggs. I beat him earlier with ace queen versus his ace jack, and now I might have just cracked an overpair. He bets out once again for $75, a big bet from Biggs, and I'm not going to give him any reason to fold. I just put in the smooth call for 3 green chips. The river now connects the board a little bit further. It comes a 6 of hearts, and now he slows down and checks. Does he have an overpair? Does he have a hand like pocket 8s? There's 273 in the middle, and when he checks over to me, I decide to shove it all in. He snap calls me with ace 8 of hearts, second pair. He just didn't put me on a 9 when I raised it up pre-flop, and $773 going over my way. Unfortunately, in the hand prior, I doubled up my buddy Gage, only to take the money back from Biggs. Kind of a gross situation, and I have to give him a bang sticker for his participation in that hand.
There we go. It's going down. Triple bang.
No, this stays with, are you?
I'm out.
Ending this 1-2 session with a bang. That's the last hand here at DTD. Norman was a blast. I had a ton of people hit me up, which made my time here pretty sweet. I give Norman a 6.5 out of 10 in terms of the college itself. The experience and atmosphere gets a solid 7.5 out of 10, and the poker another solid 7.5 out of 10. Ended up losing $185 the first night after a few flips to end the night with CJ and Gage, and $5 here on Sunday, so minus $190 on the trip. If you guys enjoyed this video, there's 4 more college videos coming right up. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and comment down below if you want me to come to your college campus as well. Good luck on the felt, you guys. I'll catch you as always in the next video. Peace.